Guy Fieri, aka the mayor of Flavortown, is best known for his TV show Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, or his other TV show Guy's Grocery Games, or his other TV show Guy's Big Bite, or his other TV show Guy's Ranch Kitchen, or his other TV show Guy's All-American Road Trip, or his other TV show Guy's Chance of a Lifetime. But before he ate food professionally, he was the host of a short-lived NBC show called Minute to Win It that lasted 2 years and 68 episodes. Despite never being a rating success, someone decided Minute to Win It needed to be a video game. And what better way to showcase the minigame fest than by using Microsoft's new motion-based sensor? A peripheral that would surely stand the test of time and be remembered fondly for years to come, and not irreparably damage the Xbox brand by forcing its integration into the next-gen system, which they eventually backpedaled on, ultimately losing them the console wars a decade later. What becomes apparent almost immediately is me when I marry a single mom. Also, Guy didn't spend a week in the recording studio perfecting his banter for every possible scenario. He just spews a few key buzzword phrases that can be tossed into any situation, then an AI voice explains the challenges.
10 games, 60 seconds each. Knock them all out, and you'll walk away with $1 million. Get that $1 million won't be so easy, so we've given you 3 lives. Fail a challenge, you lose a life. Lose all 3, and your game's over. The bigger the money, the harder the challenge. Let's take a look at your level 1 blueprint.
For those who aren't familiar with Minute to Win It, the premise is kind of like Silent Library, except without the fun. You do these weird random tasks using household items and try to complete them in 60 seconds. Because you have a minute to win it. And as the back of the box proclaims, there's 20 exciting challenges here. 20 times 1 minute means there's 20 minutes of fresh content. Realistically, this is a multiplayer game designed for people with friends. Since I don't have those, and inflation has hit the women in my area who I normally pay for company hard, I ended up playing with myself. For the single-player content, you go through the whole gamut and try to complete 10 challenges to win $1 million made-up dollars with a few side quests sprinkled throughout. For the Kinect version specifically, it can be a full-body workout. Nervous Nelly, for example, forces you to use your arms and legs to shake some pedometers. Others ask you to run in place to reach an object on the floor. And one even asks you to rip out tissues as quickly as possible. While there's of course issues with the sensor, it responds fairly well overall. Just not in something like Buckethead, which requires you to grab ping pong balls and throw them against a wall and catch them in a bucket on your head. Except you also have to move laterally, which doesn't register half the time. Same with any games that require an aiming and bowling motion. You know what, I take back what I said about the controls. Roughly half of the 20 minigames have issues, causing you to lose once or twice before getting the hang of them. The graphics, meanwhile, were not crafted by the most brilliant artists in the world. They built Guy in the Xbox 360 avatar creator, then fed him some peanut butter so his mouth line opens and closes randomly like a horse and called it a day. The most annoying part is that after every single challenge, Guy asks you if you want to stay or leave. This is the dumbest thing ever. There's no real money at stake. In fact, I gave you money to buy this game. Why are you constantly asking me if I want to leave? I either leave with nothing or stay and do the thing I paid for. How is that a choice? It also sucks when you complete a challenge with 20 seconds to go, then stand there like more of an idiot than you did when humping the air to whack some oranges with your banana. And yes, that's an actual challenge. Overall, Minute to Win It on 360 is a surprisingly fun minigame collection, hampered by the good old Kinect issues that make you wish you had a controller with built-in motion. If this was 10 years ago, I'd be happy and still married to my ex-wife. I also wouldn't be as disappointed by this. I'd have fun playing Minute to Win It for an afternoon, then like every other Kinect game ever made, never touch it again. But Guy Fieri didn't stop at the Xbox. His dominion needed to spread to the world of Nintendo. While Xbox 360 players had to wait until the end of 2011 for their version of Minute to Win It, Nintendo players could get Guy in their living room a year prior, a mere 7 months after the show first premiered. Now, the first thing you'll notice about the DS version is that all of the character models are pure nightmare fuel. I understand the Nintendo DS isn't a graphical powerhouse, but how anyone approved these is beyond me. And whoever designed Guy Fieri clearly took inspiration from Phineas and Ferb because his face is a triangle. In terms of DS-ness, they actually used the microphone and touchscreen for some of the games. That being said, the touchscreen controls can be horrific. The simple act of pulling tissues from a box just won't work sometimes, even if you line it up perfectly. Part of that could be from my screen being a little sticky due to, ironically, not having tissues nearby. But either way, it's not intuitive. For a game that likely had a 6-month development window, you'll be surprised to learn there is a little bit of voice acting with Guy reminding you how much time is left in a challenge. Otherwise, it's poorly written text telling you that you have no life and you failed. While there isn't much else to talk about here with the DS version, I'd like to take a moment to highlight Elephant March. You put unbreathable pantyhose over your face and swing a ball like an elephant's trunk. Except it's one of the most disturbing things I've ever witnessed in my entire life. And now I apologize for making you see it as well. Ultimately, Minute to Win It on DS is less a game and more a thing that exists. I don't know how anyone looked at the final product and thought this was a good idea to be released, but I guess they sunk 10 grand into it and figured they could try to trick some kids because kids are dumb. Except the minigames here are atrocious and don't even come close to the quality offerings found in Super Mario 64 or New Super Mario Bros. And even the ones that could be fun are insanely difficult, like pulling out 105 tissues in 60 seconds with touchscreen controls that suck harder than my ex-wife when she's trying to get the last ball in her boba. Finally, we have the Wii version of Guy Fieri's Minute to Win It, which somehow is even more nightmare-inducing than the DS one. I honestly don't understand how a developer could let character models like this go out the door. Unless they were given no time and no money. Then maybe I can. Of course, Guy Fieri's voice is present, except he recorded about 10 lines and called it a day.
How you doing? I'm Guy Fieri, and welcome to Minute to Win It. Our contestants have been practicing these mind-blowing games using household items for months. But the question is, how will they do in front of millions when $1 million is on the line? It's time to find out.
The AI woman who explains the rules will penetrate your ear holes far more often. And honestly, it's better to hear someone talk who you can't see than whatever the hell Guy Fieri's Wii face is. But who cares about how many sleepless nights this gave me? How's the gameplay? In a word, atrocious. I completely forgot how rough controls on poorly designed Wii games could be. Like, remember how in Wii Boxing you'd flail around and that'd be enough to win? Here you need precision in games like Ball Stack, where you have to balance 3 golf balls by using pinpoint accuracy on the nunchuck and Wii Remote simultaneously. As someone who's used to threesomes though, even I found winning impossible. The nunchuck was not designed for this. Hell, the Wii Remote was barely designed for this. There needs to be a level of forgiveness which the sinister Guy Fieri lacks. And even when you fail, he'll say he feels bad, except that smug smile never disappears. He knows what he's doing and he's enjoying it a little too much. This blows is not just a way to describe Minute to Win It, it's also the perfect minigame to encapsulate everything wrong here. You have to whip the nunchuck back and forth to blow up a balloon. Except you'll edge the balloon, sucking and getting ready to blow on the tip, but your lips stop just shy of touching it. Then it'll randomly work for a couple of blows despite nothing changing on your end before reverting back to failure. And all the while, the balloon is getting flaccid. I lost in all 3 of my first attempts, getting game over multiple times. Best yet, you can't skip Guy's explanation at the start of every episode. He basically holds you hostage like some sort of reality show jigsaw. Eventually, I learned that you have to wail on the nunchuck like you just saw Sydney Sweeney in Euphoria for the first time. Anything less than breakneck speeds won't result in you reaching completion. Yet even then, following numerous attempts, I couldn't get past episode 1. After taking a break to cool off for a couple days and deciding I'm not your buddy, Guy, I returned to this eternal damnation. It was the same story of being unable to progress past the first unforgivable minigame, so I went online. There were no Metacritic reviews for the Wii version, and what little I could find agree with my assessment, this game is garbage and belongs in the trash. But just like that time I got my feet stuck in a jar of peanut butter, I pushed through and persevered. After far too much trial and error, I entered a groove, realizing that if I pulled the cord between the nunchuck and Wii Remote taut, that seemed to help. Except even when I was able to blow Guy's balloon somewhat efficiently, I still had to knock down the 15 cups in 60 seconds. It was a struggle to get 8 or 9, making 15 freaking possible. And that's why the rest of the gameplay you're seeing takes place in training. Another crazy thing about this Wii game is that not every minigame uses the Wii Remote's Wii Remoteness. Punch Your Lights Out is a QuickTime event similar to every non-motion control golf game ever made. However, the input lag is atrocious, meaning you have to hit A a half second before you actually should. Then you flick the remote to toss the beanbag, which feels completely unnecessary. For tissue pull, you do use the remote. B grabs a hold of the tissue you need after watching Anyone But You, but you can't just jerk your remote however you want. Too hard, nothing happens. Too soft, too bad. You need to be a 4 or 5 out of 10 on the intensity scale. A 3 or lower or a 6 or higher causes the game to stop working. And even when the minigames work, they're just boring. Like, who thought sorting cards into stacks would be enjoyable? There's plenty of other minigames on offer, but they can't be accessed unless you beat the episodes. Well, obviously I couldn't beat the episodes because this game is an abomination that should be cast in the fires of Mount Doom. Going into this video, I fully intended to actually win the fake $1 million, But Guy Fieri crushed my dreams like they're grapes I pay gamer girls to step on with their bare feet to make my wine. Yeah, if you couldn't tell after trying all 3 versions of Minute to Win It, I can't believe Guy Fieri would attach himself to such a hot mess. This game is offensive to even the most shoveliest of shovelware on Wii, and the makers of Game Party must be shaking their heads watching this video. Or they're on yachts watching dolphins get it on, which is what I assume rich people do. Because in case you've forgotten, the first Game Party sold over 2 million copies, which is somehow more than Metroid Prime 3, Pokepark 1, and Wario Land Shake It. And if that statement doesn't cause you to lose faith in humanity, I don't know what will.